Hello, ladies. Thank you for stopping by my channel. It's good to see you, or wished I could see you. um, this is Vintage Shabby Goodness, and I am Patty. I have this journal here that I'm doing for a DT for Doreen, Denver, with Oohlala Vintage Treasures on Etsy. I have used several of her digitals because I just love them, and I have lots of leftovers, so I have been making some little journals and bigger journals, using up all my leftovers. Trying to. I still have plenty, but so I have come up with this one. There's like four or five different digitals in this one, but this one I am calling Miss Blissfull. So I will get on with it. Here's my cover. I just show you, I made a flower to put on here. I've added a metal nameplate that says keep calm and drink tea. Drink tea or drink coffee. I'm actually a coffee drinker. A vintage flower. And I added this vintage pearl that I think is so pretty. Just let it drape down there along with this trim here. And then added these two little pink pearls. And this has a nice big silk ruffle at the bottom with some pink, what is that, trim? It's just kind of a plastic trim that is so pretty. And then back behind the trim, I have some flowers that came off an old wedding dress. So we got some wings, and I added a little flower on there. I made a little dangle with this card that says admirable, which I think is perfect for this because I admire all the digitals that I used and all the digitals I'm going to use. As they're just beautiful. They're so pretty it makes it kind of hard to decorate because they're beautiful on their own. But I give it all my all. Some pages I do a lot with, some pages I do nothing with. But here's a bow that I used to tie the signature in with. It's just a 2-hole that I just put the lace through and tied. So this lace is actually kind of big. I probably shouldn't have used something so big, but hopefully I've got it stabilized really, really well. And then here is a drop dangle that I made with some of my beads. And some of my beads will be glass. I prefer to work with glass beads, but some of them are plastic and they're old, and that's okay too. I just think they're all pretty. Okay, and then here's the mouth of her. It's not as big as a lot of my other journals, but it's a good average size. And then there's the back, so which we'll get to here in a minute. All right, let's get inside and see what we can find. We've got our first page here that is a piece off a old wedding dress that I just kind of glued around the edges part way and turned it into a pocket. And I put a journaling card inside and added this little applique at the top. It matches the pocket really well. And then you could journal on the back. Then I have down here at the bottom this kind of like crocheted trim. And I added a little doily along with this little white fuzzy bow, and then I added a little bow to that with a little bit of pink bling. Then I also added some trim along the edge here. Then over here is a little clutch, which I know this This clutch came from the digital Biscotti Lady Enchanted, or let me look that up real quick and I can get that for you. Lady Elegance. All right, Biscotti Lady Elegance is where this digital come from. Here's the digital name. It come from Etsy with Oohlala Vintage Treasures. And I just decorated, this is actually the back, with some peach colored rosettes. And then here's the front. And then I added this lace here at the top. And you can open it up and we've got some pockets. So I've got a couple of little things in these, in the small pocket here. And then I have a little tag up here. And little jotting space on the back. Isn't that pretty? It's just beautiful paper. And then, not that I needed it, but I added a little bit of trim there on the edge with the flower, just to just jazz it up a little bit, maybe. I don't know. And then on this side is just a little booklet. You can jot down some notes, just whatever you need to. So there's some room to jot it down. And then I use some trim there at the top. And then there's the back of it. Okay, and so then it just fits right back over the edge of the paper. Well, I didn't put my things up, but I will later. Then this, I just used the bulldog trim and just added a little butterfly and a couple of little blings. Put that right back on. There we go. And then this ribbon here is just so gorgeous. I just love this. And this is, it's got your metallic gold and everything on there, just seed beads and all kinds of the threads and everything is that metallic gold. That is just gorgeous. So I just put it on this little piece of paper, and it looks like I need to straighten it up a little bit, and I will do that. I made a little pocket out of this here. This vellum was just sitting there by itself, and then this little short pocket wasn't serving a purpose, so I just made a little pocket out of it. And there's the two little tags inside there. And I ended up having to staple it because my glue just would not hold on this vellum. I can't get the hot glue to stick, or my glitter glue. It won't stick. I've been told that the Barely Arts glitter glue will stick. Mine has gone bad. It's all liquidy, so I couldn't try it. But I have seen ladies use it, and it seemed to work pretty good. So I will have to get me a new bottle and start using that again. Okay, and then we come to some old vintage book page. And, you know, it's just very, very brittle. So what I did was I took some clear gesso and brushed it over the top. That kind of stiffens it up a little bit. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. So that, and then I took this vintage trim and put it along the edge because it was tearing. Just by turning the page, it was tearing. So I put this fabric along the edge here for stability. And then I put this applique from a wedding gown, a vintage wedding gown. I added that to the bottom. And this ruffle is something I made and just added it to the side, just to give you something to grab a hold of to turn with. So there's that, and you turn the page, and I did the same thing here, as I added that clear gesso, and it makes it almost kind of sandpapery feeling, but you know, I needed to do something to kind of stiffen it up a little more. But this is a heart with the angel wings on it. This is from Doreen's kit, French Bliss. My goodness, my favorite, one of my favorite kits, and I lost the name. And then I just added these two corners here, you know, for the stability. And also, I just thought it looked awfully pretty. I think those are really pretty. And then here we have a train ticket, just an old train ticket, timekeeper. So I just added it just to be adding it. Let's see, on this side we have a little booklet. This is also French Bliss ephemera. And then there's the little booklet that you could write in. The envelope, I made an envelope out of the kit. And then just a tag with a ruffle with a vintage lace up here at the top and little spots to journal on. And that just goes back behind the envelope. So, and then I added this pink applique there to the top right. And then added this white lace down here, which I think is so pretty. Just looks so vintage. And then I made a little dingle here, and it's got one of the Edwinian's Victorian ladies on there. And then also I made these little bead drop here and put it all on a little black safety pin. But it turned out kind of cute. Then on the next page, this page stuck down a little further than the others. And so instead of cutting it down or tearing it down, I just folded it up so that then I would have a pocket. So I put this over here in this pocket, which you'll have room to journal on. This is out of the French Bliss. That digital does have the little cherubs in it. It's just beautiful. But I made this little bow and just got this little piece of applique and put that on there. And then this one here is I just put like 3 little tiny flowers with some cheesecloth underneath and then some lace underneath that. It's just little tidbits. And then you can journal on the back. But then I added this real pretty vintage lace here at the bottom. I just think that is so pretty, rich looking. And this is just absolutely gorgeous. I just had to find a place to put this ribbon. So it is just all, you know, it's got the metallic in it. It's got the little seed beads in it. It's got all these little tiny items in it that just makes it sparkle. So it's just so rich and pretty looking. And then I made this ruffle here on the side, and I made it great big so it would stick out. It sticks out further than anything. So I like how it does that. I like that. So anyway, I made a little dangle to put on it, which here's a little card that I sparkled up with Stella. Here's a dangle that I made with a piece of vintage lace. And then this is off an applique. Real pretty. I think that's like a mint green. It's just so pretty. And then over here to the next page, we have some more French Bliss digital. I made this little lavender lilac colored bow and stuck it to the heart with the angel wings on it with a little bit of bling on there. And I added this little cherub that's sitting on some books and with some roses around him. But isn't he cute? So I just made a little tuck out of that heart, so I just tuck him right in there. Then this is a picture frame that I made a tuck out of, and I put a heart with a rose on it that I did put some more of that Stella on it, so it just is all sparkly, and then some real tiny pearls along the edge, and then you can journal on the back. And then I added this ribbon at the bottom, or lace, that's lace, with this real pretty little pink and beige flower. I had it in my stash. I just thought it was so cute. And then this here is just a little bag I stuck in here that's just full of, that's got some ephemera in it. But I made this, I took this little paper clip and just put some trim on it to clip it shut with. These are extras that you can do whatever you want with it. If you want to put more stuff in the pockets or, you know, what have you, you can. There's a couple of more little pieces inside that envelope. And there's a postcard. Isn't that pretty? Just love that. So you got quite a bit of some little extra ephemera in there. And I sewed the edges of this, you know, since I struggle with trying to keep it glued shut and everything. So I just took it to the sewing machine and stitched her shut so there'd be no problems. And then here's the other half of that train ticket. Then here's that old vintage book page with the heart, the angel wing heart that I Mod Podged on here. And actually I printed on some rice paper and just kind of wet it around the edges and stuck it on here and Mod Podged it. I have some more, or a couple of more. Here it is. This is what I printed off onto some rice paper, is a couple of more of the hearts. See, there's the wings, and then there's some roses on the inside. Isn't that pretty? And here's a little tiny one over here. But that's what I used. And then it's got some real delicate trim on the edge there. And then on this side, I made a tag pocket, I guess you could call it. But what I did on this one is I just glued the whole thing down to this book page since it is so brittle. I just glued it all down, and I just glued down this sari silk so it'd be a little something kind of cutesy. And so we can get to the pocket. But I made this little pocket here, added this little tag and bow, and it's got a backer so you can still write on the back of that. Then here's another tag, a little bit bigger than this one. I just added some lace and some pink bling. And isn't she just a doll with her angel wings? Just gorgeous. But you can journal on the back of that. Then this opens up and you can write right here. And then you could also write in here. And I have another tag inside there. Then I added this lace up here, and I made this little dangle to put on that. And then I stenciled the back to kind of change it up a little bit, but you can still journal on the back of that. There. I just wanted to show you how this, this keeps the top part closed, or even just this would have done it too. But that was the kind of idea of that one. Then on this side is a sheet of vellum that I put a ruffle that I made on it. Then it's got the butterfly with a little bit of bling in the middle of that. And then I made this dangle here, and these two are glass. It's the glass pearls. Aren't those pretty? I just love them. And then over here we have a pocket or envelope type, an envelope that I made into a pocket. So I added some trim, and I added some more trim up here. It almost blends in with the paper. And then, of course, I added a little flower that I had in my stash, and this flower also. And then these leaves. Isn't that cute? But we got a couple of tags in here. And it's got a little tag on it that says honorable, which I'm very honored to be able to work with these digitals. Thank you, Doreen. And then here's the other tag. Put the applique on that one. Added a little bit of lace with a vintage button. And then you can journal on the back. And then on the back here, I added an applique. I added another one of them hearts and just glued it part way, made a tuck out of it. And then I've put in this little card here, this heart with the wings. Then I added some sparkly stuff there. And then here's another heart with the angel wings on there. And then I just put them in there. And then I just had this little piece of paper laying around, and I just thought it was so pretty that I just cut it, I just shaped it up and just stuck it on the page. So pretty. Okay, then on this side, let's see. This is something that I make to put on the edges of paper. I call it the paper edger. And you've got a front and a back, and you just put it over the edge of your page, and it's decorated on both. Well, I used all of it, but these two pieces right here, and they're hooked together. So I thought, why not just glue it up here on the top of the page and use it as a top pocket. So that way I can use it all up, and it's pretty, and it works. So I've added this tag underneath that one. I added a little bit of lace and a black flower with a white pearl in the middle. And then you can journal on the back. Be able to, hope I had that in camera, in shot. Then I added this lace and the black cameo. Then on the next page, we have some lace that I've added at the top. I've added this black bow, which has Winkostella on it, so it's a sparkling. And then I added this pocket, put this tag in there, which I added some lace, this bow, and the flower. And then you can use it to journal on the back. And then here's a little pink bow that I made with a vintage button. And then some lace, vintage lace here in the corner, which made a little tuck. But I went ahead and put the pocket underneath there and just glued them all down. But it started out to be a little tuck. So, but I decided to go with the whole page. And then I made a little dangle for this, which is really pretty. It looks like, it's crystal. And it looks like it's all busted up inside. But it's really pretty. And then over here, the last page, last 2 pages, this is a silverware sack or bag. It's what, you know, they put your silverware in at the restaurants nowadays. So I put it in my handbag, and I got it okay first. And I just folded it in half. Let's see if I can get this. This doesn't want to come off because of the lace. There we go. Oh, I tied a little pink tulle on the end with the little puffy balls on it. Okay, here's the bag. Here's the full length of it. And I didn't glue it shut. I thought I did, but I was going to because I wasn't going to use it for anything other than like a belly band or something. But since it's so long, I just went ahead and decorated it inside and out, just in case I changed my mind. But I just folded it in half and then put the paper clip on the bottom here, and then paper clipped it to the page. And then I put, this tag, which I'll go ahead and show you while we have it out. This tag, I made a little pocket out of a small doily, added some vintage music sheet, a little piece of trim, just a little bling, and then this little pocket with some sari silk on top. And then you have your Eiffel Tower here, which I think that's really cool. I want to go see that someday. And then you have some lace, vintage lace up here with this little green flower. So, and then on the back, I took this tag here and just folded it up because it was way too long. So I folded it up and made a pocket out of it. So I added from the French Bliss this little winged heart with some trim underneath. And then I put a postcard and just a regular tag in the pocket. And this is some vintage flowers off a wedding dress, or flower trim. Yes, it was off a wedding dress. And then I added this cheesecloth and a little bit of bling up there at the top. And then I just take it and shove it down in there a little bit. And that silverware deal will hold that in there. Okay, and then you turn the, well, then I added, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I added this ruffle here, or this lace, and I just ruffled it along the edge. Along with this, I added this. I think that's so pretty. That it's very vintage. And it looks it. It's just gorgeous. I love it. So I just added that there in the upper corner. And then the back page, this is where this tag goes. It's right in there. But actually, I did this wrong. But after I got to look at that, I thought, I don't think so. There we go. This goes over this like that. Yeah. And we'll put this clip back on there. And then this tag sits in here like that. I'll get it. It's been a long day for me. But then you see the tag, the lace, the black ribbon and the black and gray vintage button. And then you can journal on the back. Just tuck that right back in there. And then some lace up here at the top. And that's it. Yeah. Once again, you know, it's not one of my bigger ones, but it's just every bit as beautiful. And it's, you know, I didn't have to make a closure thing to hold it shut because it was so big. But I will be going and making some more big ones. I miss making the big ones. So I just was kind of testing myself to see if I could even do a smaller one. So, and I've done even a real small one. That's Doreen. So, okay, folks, that's it. Again, this is Miss Blissfull is the name of this journal. I do have it for sale, and I will put the information down at in the description area on how to contact me. And if you're interested in the journal, and I will leave Doreen's Oohlala Vintage Treasures Etsy information in the description area also. And that's it. I want to thank you for joining me, and I will see you again soon with the next project. Thank you. Bye.